We on? Welcome to the Future Comedy Show podcast, episode 16. Today we have a very, very special guest. Writer for The Tonight Show, Jay Leno.
Yeah.
Very many credits that can go on and on and on and on and on. It's Challis. How you doing?
I'm good, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Thanks for having me on.
I have a legend in my dining room, which looks like a studio.
It is. It does. This is really an apartment dedicated to stand-up comedy. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, and my dog just came in to say hi. And
hey, Chula.
Chula just wants to be famous. That's what she does. She's like, can I get a guest spot on the show?
Yeah,
that's what she's trying
she
to do.
already is. There she is. I don't know if they can see her, but there she is.
Yeah, she's down there.
Wonderful.
Wagging her tail and whining. So tonight, we're doing a show. We're performing together. It's you, Steve Smargan, and myself at the 702 Bar.
702 Bar.
8 o'clock.
It's a lot better than that 701 Bar.
Yeah, 701 sucks.
Yeah, 702 is where it's at.
Yeah, if anybody has anything to say, go ahead and watch. We got Eric Walensky, he's watching. We got a few live viewers, and that's fantastic. So I guess we can dive right into it.
Sure.
You've been doing comedy how long?
My God, forever.
Forever?
I've been paid for doing stand-up types of it, writing since the late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Late 70s. I actually had to host a gong show to get started.
Yeah.
I played the Chuck Barris part, which gave me a chance to be on stage, how to work with people. Because when I started, there were no comedy clubs. I mean, there was a few in L.A. Comedy Store was just getting started. There was one or two in New York, maybe one in Chicago. That was it. Because the boom happened around 80, 81, and then there was clubs everywhere. But until then, there wasn't. And if you wanted to do stand-up, you had to make your own. You had to make your own place. And I found this bar that had a band, and they were doing a gong show. And I was like, "Hey, how would you like to have Chuck Barris guy to host the show?"
Yeah.
And that was my sneaky way into doing stand-up.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You've definitely seen the transition from no comedy clubs to a bunch of comedy clubs to no comedy clubs.
No comedy clubs, but you know what? It's there's still a lot of comedy out there. It's just fragmented.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of one-nighters, but probably now there's more opportunity.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what the young guys didn't realize that sure there'd be a lot of clubs around, but they catered to mostly the pros.
Yeah.
And really didn't have open mic nights, or they'd throw a comedy class at you to try to make some money off of, which is not a bad thing. I mean, I'm not knocking comedy classes. I think they're a way of giving new people a way in.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a lot of opportunities. They did the pros, and that was about it. But the way it is now, anybody who wants to do stand-up can find a stage.
There is a lot. There's a lot of comedy going on just here in Michigan.
I'll tell you what, Michigan may have one of the best scenes for stand-up comedy in any of the states. I mean, there's so much going on here. There's so many workshops. There's so many one-nighters. And then you still have nice clubs.
We have
the Comedy Castle.
Yes.
The Showcase in Ann Arbor.
Yes.
Now, there used to be more, but they've kind of faded away. But again, it's opened up to open mics and one-nighters and that kind of thing. And it's given people opportunities to be an entrepreneur like yourself. And that's what it's all about. And that's what I'm trying to do right now is give back a little bit.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. I mean, anytime I can work with somebody with so much experience and who's willing to talk about it, and because that's like your whole MO is you're not greedy with the info. You are always been very helpful to me. I remember you have something which is called a dojo, which is not a comedy class. It's like the art of comedy.
Yeah, it's a personal coaching situation. I also have a website that has free information, chillichallis.com.
Yes.
You don't have to buy a comedy book. It's kind of written, kind of rant style, everything. I keep things kind of short and to the point, but if somebody wants to find out something about stand-up, don't want to buy the book, go to there. You
know what's funny is I actually visited your website before I ever knew you. I was staying in a hostel with 30 people, and I remember reading it on the top bunk of this bunk bed on my iPhone, just reading through your website and getting the information. Because in the beginning, it's a very mysterious. Even 5 years in, it's still a very mysterious place of what show business is, what's the comedy world, what's it like. A lot of people they ask me like, Mike, what do you do to get started? You know, they think there's like a place to sign up, like there's a business, like you got to go to Walmart and buy a program or something.
Yeah. That's why I say if you do find a place that offers a comedy class or some kind of workshop, jump in there. I mean, because honestly, when I first started out, there was nothing like that. But if there had been, I'd have been there.
Yeah.
And I am kind of enacting what used to go on. A place I started at was called DWI, DWEYE. And the dojo is kind of an offshoot of what went on there. We had a little club in Clifton near University of Cincinnati, in Cincinnati. And we would hold meetings. We all pulled for each other. I mean, every week we were helping each other write. We'd have meetings, and we'd go over the material, and we were just kind of figuring it out. And we had some tremendous people come in and do that club. I mean, Emo would come down from Chicago, and Judith Tenuta, and Will Durst out of San Francisco, who was really kind of became my mentor and a lot of people's mentor that were there. And that's kind of what the dojo is now. It's just kind of another little microcosm of DWI.
Okay, and that's nice for passing on the torch. You're saying, all right, well, here it is, and then maybe one day down the road, somebody's gonna, who took your class or your dojo is gonna come back and they're gonna pass the knowledge on. And
I hope so. Yeah. That's the way I'd like for it to go. I mean, I was just in a club in Pittsburgh, and I was talking to a couple of the young guys afterward, and they thanked me, and I could see they were very earnest about staying around after the show and talking to them. And I'm like, well, don't you come here often? And they were like, yeah. And I go, well, don't the other comics talk to you? And they were like, nope.
Really?
They do the show, take their money, and leave. So I mean, I can understand that the road will do that to you.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, but I do like to give back. And
well, I appreciate it for sure, and I'm pretty sure everybody who's going to come to the 702 bar tonight is going to appreciate it, because they're going to see somebody with a very, very sharp act. You've written jokes on the top level, The Tonight Show, and that's where every comic, there was a period in time, even now, even with Jimmy Fallon, that's the pinnacle. That's when you've made it, and you were part of that every day for a good period of time.
That was my backyard for a long time, and I got on there very honestly. I competed against guys that had agents, and they were coming off these sitcoms and stuff. I wrote my way on that show.
Yeah.
Leno gave me an opportunity to send him jokes back in like '92 when he took over, and I became obsessed. I sent him jokes. I would do the comedy club, I'd do the show, I'd run out there, go back to the hotel, check to see what he'd done, send him in some jokes the next day, and I just did that so much that he finally just called me up one day, and he's like, "Hey, you want a job? I finally cleaned out a broom closet. You can have that as an office." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Can we do the whole interview in the Jay Leno voice?
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? Anybody in NBC, if they talk about Leno, I don't care if it's the president or another actor, you got to do Jay's voice.
That's a very good impression.
Because he gets so loud, only dogs could hear some things. Say.
That's why my dog came out here. She knew you were going to do the Jay Leno voice.
Leno was here.
And then and that's a good lesson for anybody who is a comic, or actually anybody in any profession, that if there's something that you really, really want to do, and you stick at it, persistence is a key.
Oh, no doubt about it. Persistence is one of the keys to success in show business. People quit sometimes too soon.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you really want to do it, you got to stick it out. It's not going to be pleasant all the way.
No.
In fact, that's one of the things I wrote. You can read about on the Chill Factor comedy tips that I have on my website. Is that how to deal with that? You got to be able to deal with rejection.
Yeah.
And one of the ways you do it is just keep going. Have lots of other things that you're doing. Always have something you're looking forward to do, so that if you do fail at something, you're going to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket, because with comedy, they're going to fall away. And you always have to have multiple things that you're doing at the same time. And always working on your art form, finding out who you are.
Yes.
Stand-up's a big thing about finding out who you are and making that funny.
Yes.
And and that's a lesson I had to learn. I was good at writing a joke, but I wasn't really writing point of view stuff, personal stuff, and I had to learn how to do that. So
when did it click for you?
You know what? It was kind of later on. I was pretty successful just doing jokes. I mean, I have to refer to my buddy Jim Pardo.
Yeah.
Who they asked him once how long it took him. He said 17 years.
Wow.
He goes, I was just on stage one night and it started coming out the way it was supposed to. And he goes, oh my God, that's my voice. And he goes, believe me, I was successful before that, which he was and he still is. He's one of the writers for Conan.
Yeah.
But he admitted it took him 17 years.
That's a long time. That's a long time to be patient.
Yes.
But
it's obsession. You know, if you're obsessed, those years just fall away. You know, you're not going to quit.
My girlfriend knows I'm obsessed. That's exactly what I do. I get up every day and I try to make a routine. I don't write as much as I should. You are definitely an inspiration to me to write and come up with good ideas. But I'm always learning. I'm always like, what's a book that I can read that's somebody who already did it, or you know something, or even if it's not even about comedy, but just about people who achieve at a level, so you could, you know, not have to do a show in your dining room.
Sure. It's good though, man.
Oh, thank you.
You're good. You're going all out. It's one of the reasons I support you. I sense that there's going to be big things for you.
Oh well,
so.
We'll put that in the clip. I won't. I definitely won't, because that'll make me blush. Thank you, Jimmy.
Oh, it's cool, man. I've got some students doing pretty well. I mean, Ricardo Flanagan, you might know him.
Yes, Ricardo.
Starting to become a regular on Shameless.
On Showtime.
I'm not saying that it was me, but I'm not saying it wasn't.
Well,
I'll say
you had a portion on it, and we do have Ricardo coming up sometime in February at both
cool.
at our Wednesday and Thursday venues at Jen's and Bottoms Up in Bay City. So that is cool. Isn't it like when you see like your little baby growing? I mean, Ricardo's not a little baby.
Yeah,
but
not exactly. He's a big man.
Yes,
big man. And then we had another one, Oliver Cooper, who's actually been a star of his own movie, Project X, and he was one of the leads in Californication last year.
Really? Yeah.
He played David Duchovny's son, Oversex son, which fits him perfectly. And he was in the Christmas office party.
Really?
As the bearded guy that was just trying to, you know, have sex with everybody. He was the guy that they show a picture of him without a shirt. He's just up against the wall. He's passed out. That's Oliver. That's
I've seen all those. I like all those shows, and especially Project X was the one about it was based on the
big party, man. Big party.
It was based on the Australian kid who had his parents going out of town, and they threw the huge party, and then he was on
that was Oliver that put together the whole party. It got out of hand, and you know, so yeah.
That was a great movie too.
And then we've got a lot of good people. We got Steve Smargon over there. He's headlining his own gigs. Andy Beningo, who just did his television show.
Andy Beningo is one of my favorite, and Steve Smargon's one of my favorite. And if you
right over there
want to pan if we can get a cameraman to pan, camera woman, can we get a producer to pan?
Just get her.
Say what's up, Steve.
Hey, smile.
Look at that beautiful face.
Tell him how to smile. He just didn't smile.
That's a good looking dude.
Doesn't he look like a killer when he smiles?
Yeah.
But he's funny, man.
Yeah, Steve is going to be hosting tonight, so that's, you know, it's always a treat when Steve can host, because he just won a clean comedy competition. He got first place, and
which was no small thing. I mean, they come from all over the country, and you have to be clean.
That was in Vegas, right?
Yeah. No, that was in Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. Yes.
Main, which is another place. You know, people are looking around. Should I go to New York? Should I go to LA? Chicago's not a bad place to go.
Well, Chicago's only 5 hours from here, so I'm like, when I look at things, I say, well, you can go this way, you can go that way, but if I can get to Chicago on a, you know, leave after a Saturday gig here in Michigan, and then go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and be back for Wednesday, it's becoming a real possibility. I think.
Sure.
Well, if you could go back, you do give a lot of advice. You got somebody, like, for instance, you got somebody who maybe they're within their 100 open mics. What do you say to somebody like that?
That they've done 100 open mics?
Yeah, they've 100 open mics. They got a long road. What kind of advice?
You know what? You got to test bigger waters. I mean, what if you've done 100 open mics if they're all in this area?
Yeah.
Get a few hundred miles away from home.
Mm-hmm.
Get 1,000 miles away from home.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're a real comic. When you can step on that stage 1,000 miles away, or you can go from here and step on that stage in Chicago and wow 'em. Something's going on. You're good.
Yeah.
You're good. So, but you definitely have to have those open mics, and you got to use them. There's stage time, and then there's smart use of stage time.
Yes.
And I see a lot of people that just waste it. They go on stage and they try to make their friends in the back of the room laugh with something foul and raunchy, and And I understand you're just messing around, but if you make a career out of that, you're not going anywhere.
Well, you can almost see that on social media when you have younger comics who are playing their statuses are playing to comics.
Yeah.
And when Facebook, Twitter, all these are great platforms to build an audience. There's 7 billion people in the world, and at least 1 billion of them are on Facebook, I think.
Yeah, I'm always surprised when comics aren't. They're not on Facebook, and Twitter's another one that really grows. You can grow an audience there too.
Yeah.
And comics should take advantage of all that. Instagram, you should. Right now, it used to be you'd send in your material or your video, and then you'd call agents to get work. Now they pretty much call you. If you've got a presence out there, you've got a video they can see. All of my stuff's done on through emails and Facebook. I do a lot of booking through Facebook now.
Yeah. Well,
so it's just wrong if you're in this business and you're not on there.
It's funny. I have a friend of mine is trying to get me to book Screech, and I was like, and it was a lot for a Wednesday, and I said, well, hey, I'll think about it if he does the podcast, and he goes, nope, he doesn't do social media. I go, who doesn't do social media? You know what I mean? Like, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to see Screech at NBC, and he was like a kid, and he had a better car than I did. He used to piss me off a little bit.
Well, he had such a sweet little face.
But he's doing okay now. He just does the stand-up.
Yeah. Well, we read it. I actually was researching him, and he was like 17 years stand-up, and that's. I mean, you don't think, you go, wow. You really don't notice how much time somebody puts it in, because a lot of people will say, well, he was a sitcom star and now he's doing stand-up, and some stand-ups get mad. They say he's taking our spots.
Yeah.
But 17 years, it looks like, that's a long time to be practicing. It's not like he just took the spot. He's put his time in for sure.
Well, I know a lot of people are finding out the value of doing comedy clubs now. A lot of the wrestlers are coming out and stand up.
Yeah,
but you know what? They put butts in the seats. That's all it's really about.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about the art of stand-up or whether you're going to get a lot of laughs. If you're going to pay to see these people, that's it. That's show business.
Well, in a lot of it, it's not, because a lot of things that you can teach are joke structure and the types of twists and the 6 types of jokes, or I'm not sure if there's 6 or I spoke to Carlos Mencia, and he told me there's only a certain amount of jokes that you can do, and there's like 6 or something, and there's a book about it. I'm failing at it right now, but if these people go up there and they captivate, they're kind of doing their job. As long as people aren't just on their phones and looking down like, why did I spend the $20 for this?
Yeah. It's you just have to learn yourself. You have to learn yourself and learn how to make that funny. And when I coach people, I don't really worry too much about formulas or that kind of thing. I really do try to draw out what's funny about them.
Yeah.
And I don't start from. I don't tell you what you're doing wrong. Well, you've been to my dojo once or twice. I don't tell you what you're doing wrong. I see what you're doing right, and we start there.
Yeah.
And we go from there. We kind of invent it then. So
it's a great. I had a lot of fun. I went there and tried a bunch of new material. It was a long time ago. I think it was only a year or two in, and it was good to do it, but it also was hard to perform for.
Sure.
For.
Oh yeah,
just to do it, like it's like, because
it's hard. Yeah, you know what? I always tell people you don't have to entertain us.
Yeah.
I understand what you're doing. Just try to put as much emphasis into the bit that you can, and we'll go from there.
Because sometimes I feel like if there's not a lot of people there, I can still perform, but I like the energy. That's like the energy that they give me. Like I like to give it right back. So if I'm not getting a lot, I'm like a wilting flower sometimes. Not all.
We all are. It's definitely an exchange of energy. But as you grow, you'll find out that you can have just as much fun with a few people in the audience. You don't really need that packed house. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
When you're in front of all those people, somebody's always laughing.
Yeah.
But you're in front of 11 or 12 people, or a jury, as I say. It exposes your weaknesses.
Yeah. I've seen a few juries in my day. All right, we got a couple people It's hard to hear y'all. Okay, we can turn that up a little bit. That's a good note. We're just turning it up there for my Aunt Steph. She's hard of hearing, so we're up a little loud.
Hello.
And then Colleen Wall said, "What up? We're doing this podcast. Colleen, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Thursday." Zimmerman Mags. She says, "Yes, it is." So we just turned that up. Maybe hopefully people can hear the beginning of that podcast, but we just that'd be fun. We were just mouthing. We're gonna have to put like subtitles the whole time. Chula, get out of here. Get out of here, Chula. Okay.
So 702 bar. Be there.
Yeah, my Aunt Steph says, "I can hear you better now. It must be my old age." Yeah, that, and we did have it turned down a little bit. Well, we can turn it up. See, that's the good thing about these microphones is no matter how hard you want it, we can give it to you.
Right.
That's weird saying to my Aunt Steph. Okay. So now, what is? I mean, the writing for Jay Leno is definitely a huge achievement. Mm-hmm. Is there anything besides that you're most proud of that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I worked with Pulitzer Prize winner Mike Peters, who was won a Pulitzer Prize for political cartoons, and I wrote for him for a year or two. He also had a comic strip, Mother Goose and Grimm.
Yeah.
A lot of people in Detroit may be familiar with that. I wrote a lot of that stuff. So, I've had Bob and Tom, of course. I looked into them about, 20 some odd years ago. It was like 87, almost 30 years ago now.
And you wrote for Bob and Tom too?
Yeah. I straight out wrote jokes for them and appeared on the show a lot.
Yes.
They're really good to me.
They got a great. What I like about Bob and Tom the most is their laugh. They got like the best laugh of all time because they could be saying anything. They're like the toaster, like it's like the best. Like because laughing is contagious. It's like one of those things. Like when you go to the movie with somebody and you got a good laugher with you, you're gonna be laughing a lot. That's probably the best thing about Bob and Tom is their laughs.
Well, you know what? They had a vision for the show way back when I first started. When they actually played some music in between, but they knew that having comics on raised the energy and the level of that show.
Yeah.
So pretty soon they were not only having you on, they were going, "Hey, could we borrow that clip? Could we put that on a CD?" And then pretty soon they had a ton of CDs, and I may have made a mistake. I went with Leno in the Tonight Show. Sometimes I think maybe I should have just stayed with Bob and Tom.
Yes.
Now they're having all these shows, Friends of Bob and Tom, and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And they're doing pretty well on all that stuff.
Well, it's always nice, and I think I knew that you wrote for Bob and Tom, but like obviously I wasn't totally aware because I definitely put that on your credits. I don't think I did.
Oh, really?
And a lot of people do know Bob and Tom. I mean, especially people growing up. I mean, I'm not sure if anybody like.
I'm Uncle Hippy. I'm Uncle Hippy from Bob and Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there remembers
Uncle Hippy.
Veronica Douglas is watching. What's up, V? How you doing? Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Tula, what are you doing?
It's a partial dog show. Love the growl.
I know, she just loves it. She wants?
Does she always foam from the mouth like that?
Yeah, she's ready to go. What's going on? You gotta go outside?
Oh, she knows that word. Out.
Just give her some food. We're losing viewers. And then, who inspired you as a comic? Is there anybody that you looked up to?
You know what? When I first started, everybody. I go way back. I go back to seeing like Alan King and Joan Rivers on Ed Sullivan.
Yeah.
I know you don't know that show, only from history maybe.
Yeah, only from history.
Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas. I was big fans of Richard Pryor.
Oh yeah.
And of course Steve Smart guy. Steve Martin. I love Steve Martin, of course.
Oh yeah, I have Steve Martin album on the wall.
And the thing with Richard Pryor with me was that he could take you on a fantasy trip, and he could turn around and start talking real stuff about drug use and his heart attack, and audiences right with him. A lot of comics can't do that.
Yeah.
If they talk about fantasy, they stay fantasy. Steve Martin, I want to keep saying Steve Smart because I'm looking at him.
Yeah.
Steve Martin would bring you into a total world of fantasy.
Yes.
But once he had you, man, you would go with anything. He was just a master of that.
I read his book, Born Standing Up, is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. And there's a part where he said, like, he felt like the turn, like when things started happening, because he did it for a long time before anything happens, and that's kind of like the MO of everything. And it was like one time that he did his whole show, and then he led his audience out of the building and just into the streets, and they went somewhere, and somebody like wrote a newspaper article about it, and like kind of like that was like the moment for him apparently.
We share actually a person that helped make him big, and he also helped me too. A guy named George McKelvey from Denver gave Steve Martin his first paying gig. I think he mentions it in the book.
Really?
He got like $150, and he was like, "What am I going to do with all this money?"
Yeah.
But George McKelvey also helped me out too. George was one of those guys. He saw you and he thought you had the lightning. He'd bring you out to Denver and you do his clubs, and you just kind of went from there. So
yeah,
if he believed in you, you could believe in yourself. So I kind of share that with Steve Smart. Steve. There I go again. I can't look at Steve Smargon and say Steve Martin, but I kind of share that with Steve Martin.
That's a good piece of history, and I think I remember that part about him going out there and then some lady having sex with him, and there was a book of people. That she just like had a photograph of like everybody that she slept with, and he like was like going through it like afterwards. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be in this book." Oh. Or maybe I've
seen those books. I participated, but I've seen them. You know, as a matter of fact, I think I did sign a page right next to Steve.
Yeah,
I think Steve Martin's page was there, and she opened it up for me to write.
Yeah, you said I'm not in the picture, but I was watching.
I was running the camera.
There you go. So. We got a few more viewers. Jennifer Anna's watching. What's up, Jennifer? Thanks for tuning in. We have to get out of here in about 3 minutes. We've been going for about 27. Is there any out of all the achievements you said you liked the Tonight Show? What was it like being? This is actually because I started off interning for Pauly Shore in the Comedy Store. Did you spend a lot of time in the Comedy Store when you're out that way?
You know what? When I was working on the Tonight Show, all those years I was out there, I didn't involve myself in stand-up.
Really?
And I'm really kind of sorry that I didn't. I committed 100% to being a comedy writer.
Yeah.
But I really wished I'd have stayed doing stand-up, because there was people that came and had whole careers that I wasn't aware of, like Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah.
Was out there doing great, and I didn't really know much about these guys unless they did the Tonight Show. I was really strictly involved in writing jokes, and so I wish I would have continued to do stand-up, and I always will. I get another writing position, which I kind of do already. I write for a couple syndicates. I'm always going to do stand-up. Stand-up supplied the juice for some reason, and the way my creative cycle goes, it's got to be in there somewhere. It's got to be part of it. So,
now, while you were out there, you got to see a lot of guests? Were you like being a writer? How close were you to the stage when everything happened? Were you like on there writing jokes there in between? And
oh yeah, we were right there when Leno would come out and do the monologue. He was more than maybe 50, 60 feet from us. We were just off on the side there. In fact, he came off once and slapped us all.
Really?
Because there was a joke that didn't work well, so he walked in and ran down the line and slapped. And there was a couple of times we made too much noise. We were like kiddies.
Yeah.
Like, hey, can quiet down over there. Trying to do a little show here.
And you were like on like the sidelines of a humongous show, and you got to watch all these talented comedians.
It's surreal. Everything about that was just surreal. I mean, it was very much like you can imagine. You're walking down the hall and a door would open and Cher would come out or something.
Yeah.
I mean, she was there for some interview, and you just go, my God, I just walked past Cher. They assumed that if you were a writer on the show, you were okay.
Yeah.
Most of us were really nuts, but they assumed you were okay, so they'd hang around. They would just let you loose on all these famous personalities, and they would treat you very well too, because they figured you're inside the gates, you must be okay.
Yeah.
So, but I rubbed elbows with so many people. It's scary. We had John McCain on.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that had been in the Hanoi Hilton for years.
Yeah.
War captive, and he's sweating and shaking my hand after doing a bit with us, going, telling me how hard comedy is.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Like,
as he's been a
you
prisoner of
just
war.
Yes, prisoner of war and Noe Hilton, and yeah, comedy's hard. So
That's all. Is there anybody that you really admired that you got to talk to?
oh, there's a ton of people. What I liked mostly was seeing people that I'd worked the road with, like Drew Carey would come in and
Yeah.
be sad, and he was all famous, and everybody'd stay away from him. I could walk right up to him because there's a guy that opened for me.
Yeah.
There's so many names, famous names that opened for me. It's kind of pathetic. Really.
Drew Carey. I heard Drew Carey's a really nice guy. That's what I just keep hearing. Is like he'll like go places and just buy the whole restaurant food.
Yeah. He will.
He's got that Price is Right money.
He's a good guy. And there was a guy that at one time was literally going to quit. He felt like they just didn't get his character, and he wasn't getting the breaks. And he was featuring for me one week, and he was like, "Why can't I headline? Why don't these people headline me?" And I'm like, "Man, you got it all. Just hang in there." And it literally was 6 months later. He was on the Tonight Show, and Carson called him over. Which, you know, in those days, if Carson called you over, your career was made.
Yes.
He got the big call over,
and then
rest is history. You know?
Oh yeah.
Now it's Price is Right.
And that almost brings it right back full circle to where we began, where you feel like there's moments where you may be spinning your tires, but all those are things that you need to learn
and stay with it. Persistence.
Yes.
Maybe that's the mantra to this show.
That's very good. I think we can end on that. That's a good. That's a good full circle. And I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So if again, we got to mention DJ's Detailing. I don't think we did that. DJ's Detailing is our sponsor. They do the best job. They clean it the best. Dave's a good friend of mine. He will make your car look like $1 million. DJ's Detailing in Gresham. And thank you, everybody. Hopefully, we'll see you at the show tonight at the 702 Bar.